Hello and welcome to this video from Haybridge Maths Department, and today we're going to look at algebraic notation. So in algebra we have special ways of writing certain things and we call this algebraic notation, and this video will help you to understand how to use algebraic notation correctly. So we've got some nice simple additions here. So when we're dealing with adding, we simply count up how many we've got. So here I've got 1, 2, 3 y's. So y add y add y is 3y. So my t's, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 t's. So t add t add t add t add t will give me 5t. I have y add y add y add y. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 y's. So that will be 4y. And a nice simple one to finish with, I've got t plus t. I've got 1, 2 t's. So that will give me 2t. Now I can't add a's to b's. So a plus b, I wouldn't be able to write that any other way. I'd have to write that still as a plus b. I can't simplify it any further. If I look at my next expression, I've got a add b. So I can add my a's together. So I've got 1, 2 a's. So that will give me 2a. And I'm going to just write my plus b on the end. So in this third expression, I have a add b add b. So this time I can add my b's together. So I shall have an a, and then I have 1, 2 b's. So I have plus 2b. Notice that when I only have one of something, I don't write 1a or 1b. And that's conventional algebraic notation. If we only have a 1, we don't write the 1 in front of it, we just write a or b or x. So this time I've got a add a, and I've got add b add b. So I can add my a's together. I've got 1, 2 a's, and I can also add my b's together. I have 1, 2 b's. So I'm going to get 2a add 2b. So when we're multiplying, we're going to count how many we've got again, and then we're going to write it as a power or an exponent or an index. They all mean exactly the same thing. So I'm going to do a times a. So I've got 1, 2 a's. So I'm going to write my a first, and then I'm going to write a little 2 up there. And this little 2 is what we call an exponent or an index or a power. So a times a will give me a squared, or a to the power of 2 if you prefer. I'm going to do the same thing with these m's. So I've got m times m times m times m. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 m's. So that will give me m to the power of 4. And the same with these w's. So I have 1, 2, 3 w's. So that will give me w cubed. And then finally, I've got p times p times p times p times p. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And because I'm multiplying, I'm going to have p to the power of 5. Now, when we're multiplying and we have more than one variable, so we have more than one letter, we can actually remove the multiplication sign. So a times b, I don't have to write that as a times b. I can just write that as ab. Now the next one. Now I have a times b. So with my a times a, I'm going to write that as a squared, and I'm going to write the b on the end. Now the next one, I've got A times B times B. So I'm just going to have A, and then I've got 1, 2 B's. So I'll have A, B squared. Now this time I've got A times A times A times B times B. So A times A times A, I've got 1, 2, 3 A's. So that's going to give me A cubed, and B times B. So I've got 1, 2 B's. So that will give me B squared. So I'm going to have A cubed, B squared. Now we can also write a division differently. So for A divided by B, I put A on the top over B on the bottom. So I can write them as a fraction. So I put whatever comes to the left, so whatever comes before the division sign, I put as the numerator. Whatever comes after the division sign, I put as the denominator. So the next one is A over 2. So A is in front of the division sign, so that becomes the numerator, and 2 is after the division sign, so that becomes the denominator. And here I have 2 divided by B. 2 is before the division sign, so that goes as the numerator, and B is after the division sign, so that will go as the denominator. And then finally I have 2A divided by B. So 2A is before the division sign, so that goes as the numerator, and B is after the division sign, so that will go as the denominator. Now I have to put brackets in when I write it like this, because otherwise by the order of operations, so by BIDMAS, I would have to do the division first. But I have to put the brackets in here because I want to actually add 3A and B first and then divide that result by 2. However, in algebra, I can follow the same rules that I followed for those simpler divisions that we wrote in algebraic notation on the previous slide. So my 3A plus B comes before my division. So I will put 3A plus B as my numerator. And then I can put that all over 2 because 2 comes after the division. And if you see something like this, it's important to work out whatever's on the top and whatever's on the bottom before you do any dividing. So you have to imagine that there are brackets there, even though we don't write them in. So I'm going to do the same here. So I'm going to have 3A add 5 on the top, and I'm going to have B on the bottom. And again, if I had a value for A and a value for B, I'd work out what the top was worth, and I'd work out what the bottom was worth, and then I'd divide the top by the bottom. So this one's slightly different. So I've got A before the division sign, so I'm going to put an A as the numerator. And then I've got C add D after the division sign, so I'm going to put that as the denominator. And again, if I was given values for A, C and D, I'd work out what A was, I'd work out what C add D was, and then I would divide A by the result of C add D. And then finally I've got A plus B divided by C plus D. So again, I'm going to put A plus B as my numerator because it comes before the division sign, and I'm going to put C plus D as my denominator because it comes after the division sign. Thank you for watching.